Hi folks, I'm Chris Marshall with Woodworker's Journal, and this is a Greene Green bed project I made for the magazine. Now, one thing that's signature about Greene Green furniture are these curved cloud lift details. You'll find them on the horizontal members of most of their furniture, and in the case of this bed project, on the legs as well. Now, cloud lift details give Greene Green furniture a sense of lightness and elegance, and they're hallmarks of the style. And one thing I learned when making this bed is these cloud lifts have got to be consistent with one another. Any deviation in that little curved shape, no matter how slight, is almost immediately apparent to the eye. It's also important that the parallel lines that join these cloud lifts are consistent too. And how do you achieve those goals? Well, with templates. On this bed project, I made 4 different templates. One for the top rail, one for these shaped bottom rails, and one for each of the 2 different leg sizes. And along the way, I learned some tips for making these templates that I'd like to share with you in this short video, in case you decide to build this bed or another Greene Green project of your choice. I'm going to show you the process I used for making one of the bed's templates, this top rail. This is the actual half template that I used for making the project, and I used the template for drawing my mahogany parts to rough shape so I could cut them out, but I also used it for template routing those parts to final size and shape. And while I'm only going to show you how to make this one in this video, you'd make the bed's other shaped templates exactly the same way. Now, if we take a closer look at this template, you can see that there are actually 2 different cloud lift sizes at work here. There's a smaller one right at the crest of the rail, and then there are these other cloud lifts that all have a matching size. So the first step in making the template is working out this cloud lift shape. And for that, I actually made mini templates. I've got one for the smaller cloud lift size and one for the larger one. That way I only had to work out this complex S shape once. And I could use my mini templates and repeat that shape over and over again to make the larger template. It might seem counterintuitive, but I've learned that sometimes you have to make a template in order to make a template. Now, to draw these cloud lift shapes, I started by drawing 2 circles, the larger size being 5/16 inch radii, and they're based on a step down of the template of 1/2 inch from here to here. Their center points are 3/4 of an inch apart, and after I had drawn the 2 circles, I connected them with a short diagonal line that touches their tangents here and here. For the smaller size cloud lift, I based the shape on 3/16 inch radii, drew 2 circles, and the center points of the smaller size are spread 3/8 of an inch apart, and they're based on a step down on the template of just 1/4 of an inch. Now, because these circles are so small, there was no room for a tangent line, so the cloud lift shape just forms one continuous S. So make your mini templates on pieces of 1/4 inch plywood, cut them out at the bandsaw or scroll saw, and then sand the cloud lifts on a small diameter drum in your drum sander. And remember, these 2 cloud lift shapes are the masters for all the templates of the bed. So when you're sanding, take the time to make sure that those cloud lift shapes are smooth and even to the eye. Now it's time to lay out the big rail template. Start on a piece of 3-inch wide plywood or MDF that's at least 3 feet long. You want the template to extend to over half the length of the bed's top rail. It'll make the template reach better, both for drawing out the rail's shape and for using it again as a template you can route against. Draw 2 parallel lines along the bottom edge of the template, one at 1/2 inch from the edge of the blank and another at 1 inch. Along the top of the template, draw 3 parallel lines at 1/4 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1 1/4 inches from the top edge. These parallel lines will set the various elevations for the cloud lift shapes. Now the measured drawings in the article will show you exactly where to place those cloud lifts on the parallel lines you've just drawn on your template. So step those off, then use the appropriate size template to draw the shapes. And the last layout step of this template is to draw the curve at the end of the rail. It measures 1 3/4 in radius. Use a compass to plot the curve. Now you're ready to cut your big template out. But remember at the beginning, I said that it's really important to keep these parallel lines nice and straight. So while your first inclination might be to grab a jigsaw and start cutting, it's not the best tool for the job here. Even if you can keep the lines straight with the jigsaw, the cut edge is going to be too ragged for a final template like this. So the best tool for the job is a bandsaw with a rip fence. Now as we're cutting out this shape, we're going to need to keep one of these flat reference edges on the blank flat as long as possible because that's the bearing surface that rides against the rip fence. So in the case of this top template, that's going to be this long top edge. All the rest of these surfaces, or nearly so, get cut away in this bandsawing process. And I'd like to make one other suggestion as well. Add an extension to your bandsaw's rip fence. I'm just using a piece of melamine and a couple of clamps here. You don't want to run out of bearing surface on the fence when you're cutting a long workpiece like this, just when you need it most. There is one step in this process where you can use a jigsaw, and that's to make a series of short, perpendicular cuts that intersect the ends of the cloud lift layouts. These will serve as the endpoints of each bandsaw cut. Go ahead and make those short cuts now. I'm going to start by cutting away this first 1/4 inch layout line of waste. It's the first one we drew and the one that aligns with the smallest cloud lift on the top of the rail. I've set and locked my rip fence to align carefully to that layout line. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the cut. Now reset the fence to the next layout line and cut away the second cloud lift step. Repeat the process to cut off the shortest piece of waste for the third cloud lift step. And now that we've cut away all the waste on the top of the rail, I'm going to flip it around on the saw and repeat the process to cut out these last 2 cloud lift steps. I'm going to start with the deepest pass and then finish up with this short little section of waste. Then nibble away these little corners of waste next to the cloud lifts. Leave about a 1/16 inch beside the layout lines. And here's where your little cloud lift templates really come in handy. You can just tape them down to each of the cloud lift locations and template route them to final shape. Use a flush trim bit with a top-mounted bearing to trim off the last bit of waste material. The bit's bearing will follow the little template and cut a perfect match on the larger template. All that's left is to cut the end of your template round, smooth it on your drum sander, and it's all set for use to build your Greene Green bed. Use the templates both for drawing the parts to rough shape so you can cut them out, and then template routing them for an exact match. It's been said that God is in the details, and in the case of Greene Green furniture, I think cloud lifts are definitely part of that equation. But with some careful work at your bandsaw, sander, and router table, you'll have the templates it takes to do the job well. Good luck on your Greene Green projects, and thanks for watching.